excited to be here to share with my offspring sales director and her future DIQ, going into DIQ April 1st. Give it up for And let me just say, so much has been shared on tonight. You know, I'm a pastor's wife, okay, and how many of you go to church? Okay, wonderful. And those of you that go to church, you know after the sermon is preached, what normally comes next? The altar call, right? So I'm sitting in the back and I'm thinking to myself, listening to everything that's been said, I'm like, you know what? Everything has been said. I just need to say, is there one? Go ahead, cut through the chase and do the Mary Kay altar call. And you know, I promise, you know, when I am so blessed to be able to travel around the country in my Mary Kay world as a national sales director, as well as a pastor's wife. And actually, we are here, my husband is here, and for a ministry, and I decided to come with him. We've been really, really busy, so we flew in a couple of days early, and I called him and said, guess what? I'm going to be in your neck of the woods, and I don't know if you can do it, but if you can throw together a great guest event, that would be fantastic. And you know what? This is how we do it in the Mary Kay world. You can do anything within a couple of days. You ask us to do it, and we make it happen. And so, you know, that's the beauty of this business. I'm all the way in Michigan, and Yvette is here in sunny, wonderful, always great weather in San Diego. I don't begrudge her that, but it is so awesome. I heard one of the sales directors say that there are no territories, and that's what's so awesome about this business. Well, I'm all the way in Michigan, and she's here in San Diego. We still talk, and we still have an opportunity to work together, and you know, we travel and do different events when we're in the Mary Kay world. And so it really is that kind of business that it doesn't matter where that person lives, you definitely can still be connected and still be empowered, even though you live on the other side of the country. And then to Miss Julia, who is just doing a phenomenal job. We had an opportunity to talk, and she told me that, you know, her goal is to go into DIQ, and for our guests, that stands for Director in Qualification. And real quickly, I want to see all of Julia's guests. Stand up if you were invited by Julia. Wow. Wow. Let me just tell you all something. Keep standing, keep standing, keep standing. I want you to look at Julia, and doesn't she look fabulous? And she looks sharp in her red jacket. So I just want you to know that she is on a mission to shed that beautiful red jacket and don a sales director suit like her senior, Yvette. And just know she invited you here for a reason. No pressure. I just thought to all do we have any more of consultants that are in Yvette's unit? Any of the consultants here? Stand up. Stand up if you're a part of Yvette's unit. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Okay, well, I definitely want to make sure that we get an opportunity to take a picture before I leave. Most of you, I've never had an opportunity to meet. And, you know, of course, I see Yvette in different leadership conference and seminars. So this is my opportunity to meet you. So while I know that Yvette is your director, just know that you belong to me too. Give all of them another big round of applause. And of course, to all of the fabulous, you all can be seated, to all of the fabulous directors that are here, you all just did a phenomenal job. I'm sitting there and I said, I'm going to share such and such. And then one of the directors said, no, I'm going to share such and such. And then the director shared it. So I just want the directors that shared on tonight, you all did a phenomenal job. I always say when I go to these events, event, sometimes as the speaker, and sometimes I'm just there to participate. I sit sometimes in the audience and I think, if I was just here and I was not already in Mary Kay, would I join again? Would I join again? And if I was to ask all of you that have a job or whatever you're doing, you don't have to raise your hand. But if I ask the question, if you had to do it over again, would you be working where you're working? Some of you would probably say yes, and some of you would probably say, if I had it to do it again, I wouldn't. And remember, I'm talking about your job, not your marriage. And you ask that question, and I always think to myself, yes, if I had it to do it all over again, would I sign my agreement? Would I do Mary Kay? And the answer is undeniably yes. And so I'm just so thrilled again to be here to just share a few minutes. I'm a pastor's wife. Most of you go to church, and you all know when preachers get up and they're preaching and they say, just 2 more minutes. I just hope the Lord don't hold that against them, because most of the time it's not 2 more. It's 10 more, 15 more minutes, right? And so I have to be very careful, because by me being a pastor's wife, some of my husband's habits have rubbed off on me. So I promise, I am not going to be before you long. I think right now it's, what time is it? 7:30? Okay, my goal is to be done in 15, 20 minutes. You think I can do it?
You can do it.
Okay, all right, I'm going to do my best. Because we love what we do, and you all know when you love what you do, it's real easy to talk about it, it's real easy to share and all of that good stuff. And so I'm going to try to put my 21 years, this month is my anniversary month in Mary Kay. 21 years I've been a part of Mary Kay. And I was sharing with Yvette, I said, I got to update my accolades. I sent it over and have to change some things. I have earned over $2 million in Mary Kay since being a part of Mary Kay. That deserves a big hand. So I'm going to share with you just a little bit of my story. I'm going to take you back about 21 years ago. I don't know about you, but when I see people that are successful and people that are doing what they love and they're successful at it, I always wonder, how did they get started? What is their life story? Where did they begin? And a lot of times people wonder, especially because I wear so many hats, and because I am a pastor's wife, and because my husband pastors our church in Detroit, Greater Grace Temple. Some of you may have seen, how many of you know Rosa Parks? Okay, that kind of rings a bell, right?
Yeah.
Well, we actually hosted her funeral, was at our church. Okay, so my husband and I wear a lot of hats, and we're extremely busy. And so when people find out that I'm in Mary Kay, they're always taking a breath, like, you're doing Mary Kay? You have time to do Mary Kay? And they're always curious as to why I continue to do Mary Kay. And there are so many reasons why I continue to do Mary Kay. But I'm going to take you back about 21 years so you can do just a little snippet of my story. As I said, I have been building my Mary Kay business for this month 21 years. And if you'd asked me 21 years ago, would I thought or imagined that I would ever be doing something like Mary Kay, I would tell you absolutely not. 21 years ago, I had gone to college, went to Michigan State University, and graduated from there, and immediately was hired by Ford Motor Company as a program control analyst. And I was so excited because my goal was to be Miss Corporate America. I was going to be that executive that had the briefcase, had the navy blue pinstripe suit, and back in the day they were wearing the little, bow ties, a little bitty tie. I was going to be Miss Corporate America. I was going to move up the corporate ladder. That's what I thought I was going to do. And so I began to work and started my career. And then shortly after getting hired, I got married. And then 2 years later, I had my first child. How many of you have children? How many of you know they can always throw a monkey wrench in the goals that you have? And so I had my daughter, and I can remember after having her really wanting to be able to stay at home, but something in me still wanted to pursue my career. So I went back to work. And then 2 years later, I had my son. And at that point, I was thinking, man, wouldn't it be nice to be able to be at home and to raise my children? So it was something in me that really wanted to be there, but there was still something in me that wanted to use the gifts and the talents that I had. And so I had a good girlfriend that worked at Ford with me. And every day, we pretty much had the same routine. She and I would go to lunch, and where we worked was really close to a mall. And so we would go to this mall to grab something to eat. How many of you like to people watch? And so we would be in the mall, and we would hurry up to eat our lunch, but we would watch the people. At least I would watch the people in the mall. And they would be walking in the mall with the blue jeans on, like they didn't have a care in the world. And I can remember thinking, what kind of job, Nancy, do they have? It's the middle of the day, and we're sitting there trying to hurry to eat because we have to go back to work, and they're just strolling. And so she and I, we would have conversations all the time about what could we do to get out of corporate America? You know, what kind of other opportunities were out there? So we kicked around a couple of things and really never came up with anything. But we said, whatever it was that we wanted to do, it had to have at least three things. Number one, it had to have flexibility. We needed to be able to do it when we wanted to do it, what time we wanted to do it, and so on and so forth. Number two, it couldn't have a glass ceiling. We needed to be able to make as much money as we wanted to make. And the third thing, it had to be legal. So those are the three things that we said an opportunity had to have for us. And so we really couldn't find anything, so we continued to work. Well, I found out that I was pregnant again for the third time. And so at this point, I was at home on maternity leave. Now let me tell you, my daughter at the time was 2.5 years old. My son was 10.5 months old, and I was 6 months pregnant. Don't even ask. So I was at home, and so my girlfriend that I had would go to lunch with all the time, she had gone to this event, and at this event, she ran into a girlfriend of hers that had gone to grad school. This particular girlfriend had quit her full-time job as a healthcare administrator working in Boston. She moved back to Detroit. She had joined Mary Kay, had earned her car, was doing really well, and so one thing led to another, and she recruited my girlfriend. Now, how many of you have a girlfriend? How many of you, whenever something exciting goes on in your life, whenever there's something you find out about, you automatically think, I gotta call my girl. Right? I gotta call my girl, I gotta share with her. So immediately, Virginia thought about me. So she calls me up, and when she called me, she didn't tell me it was Mary Kay. So she was telling me she ran into this girlfriend, and her girlfriend was doing this business, and she was very successful with it. She was so excited. And so, of course, she was so excited about it. She got me excited about it. She said, I already signed up. I'm doing it. She said, I thought about you. This would be good for you. And I was like, okay, good. You know, it got good. And I was like, great. And I was so excited. So lesson number one to the consultants that are in here, when you're trying to share this opportunity with somebody, you got to be passionate and you got to be excited. Because I was excited and I was passionate just because of the energy she had on the phone. Until she said, Mary Kay. To the guests, can I be honest? Yes. I didn't want to sell Mary, and I didn't want to sell Kay. Literally, my excitement went from here to rock bottom when she said Mary Kay. It was like as soon as she said it. And I remember thinking to myself, you know, Virginia, I really thought you were intelligent. You are a financial planner for Ford Motor Company. You have a master's degree, and you're talking about your bright idea is Mary Kay. And she could tell, you all know when you're talking to your girlfriend, you can tell the temperature of the phone when it goes from a high all the way down to a low. Almost to the point, she was like, hello, hello. I got real quiet. And she said, Chrisette, you there? I said, yeah. And she could tell in my voice because when she said Mary Kay, I immediately thought about Avon. Now, I'm not bashing Avon. We don't have to do that. The only reason I thought Avon is because I grew up in the era of Avon. Yes. My mother had an Avon lady. And I remember as a child, the Avon lady coming to the door. I remember her having the bag, and my mother had bought things, and she got money from my mother. And I remember thinking to myself like a flash, okay, how is it going to look? You, 6 months pregnant, walking through your neighborhood, ringing doorbell, saying, hello, my name is Chrisette Ellis. I'm your friendly Mary Kay lady. That was not the vision that I had for my life. So I was really disappointed that that was her bright idea. But she said something to me that I always try to remember whenever somebody is telling me something new. And this is especially for our guests. She said to me, she said, Chrisette, intelligent people make decisions once they have all the facts. And I remember thinking, is she saying I'm not intelligent? But it did kind of make me say, ouch, because I literally was making a decision based on my preconceived ideas. And so when she said it like that, I said, well, you know what? I tell you what. She said, can my sales director, her friend that recruited her, is it okay for her to come over and share with you some information about Mary Kay? And so I said, okay, sure, let her come. And so the day that she was coming, for those of you that have children, it was a day when my son just happened to catch like a 24-hour bug. And it was just one of those days where he was constantly throwing up, one of those days where, I didn't want to change clothes and get prepared for guests. I really did not want to see the Mary Kay lady, okay? And some of you guests in here, before you connected with your Mary Kay lady, that's when they had caller ID. You like, oh, that's the Mary Kay lady. I'm not picking up today. And so I called my girlfriend back, and I told her, I said, Virginia, I said, you know what, Buddy's not really feeling good today, so call your director and tell her do not come because today is just not a good day. I left her a message. I found out later that her director got the message, but she told her, don't call her. I'm going to show up anyway. And to this day, that was a brilliant move. The director showed up anyway. I'll never forget the doorbell rang. And I remember sitting at the table thinking, now, is it really a lie if you're home but you don't answer the door? Does that count as like not telling the truth? For a minute, I thought about not answering the door, and then I said, no, what I'm going to do is just go to the door and just politely tell her that today is just not a good day. So I remember going to the door, and of course, we had a little peephole. I remember checking her out. You know how we are. We have to check people out. And I remember looking, and she had her car parked in front of the house. And back in the day, they used to put these stickers on that said, I want it. And so she had a free car. I remember thinking, wow, she won a car. So I was very impressed with that. But I remember looking and seeing her. And I was very impressed. I mean, she had on her sales director suit. Her makeup was impeccable. See, I didn't wear any makeup back in the day. Her makeup was impeccable. And I thought, wow, this is a sharp lady. So I opened the door and, I just decided, you know what? I'm going to listen to I'm going to go ahead and invite her in. And we went to the kitchen and we sat down. And she began to share with me information about the Mary Kay opportunity. And what I'm going to do, and I'm almost done, because so much has been shared with you. I remember sitting at my kitchen table, and one of the things that I share all the time about Mary Kay is that Mary Kay, I've been in Mary Kay for 21 years. Mary Kay was built on a solid foundation. When I share the opportunity, I talk about the things that were shared with me 21 years ago. For you see, when something is built on a solid foundation, it does not change every single year, in 5 years, 10 years. Those of you that live in a house, or even if you're in an apartment, can you imagine if you had to move out every other year, every 5 years, because they had to rebuild a foundation? Anything that is built on a solid foundation is built to last. Mary Kay has been built to last. It has stood the test of time. You've heard what the sales directors have shared with you. One of the first things that was shared that was so important to me and um, really made an impression on me, and was one of the major factors in me joining Mary Kay, was the company's philosophy of God first, family second, and career third. I could not believe that there was a company that actually said, without being afraid, to say put God first in your life, your family second, your career third. I was impressed. The second thing that she shared with me was flexibility. Let me see the hands of the guests. How many of you need some flexibility in your life, right? So I needed flexibility. Remember, 2.5, 10.5, and I was 6 months pregnant. And so I needed the flexibility. And you know what? Wherever you are in your life, when your hands went up, I'm sure if I had time to speak with each and every one of the guests, you would be in different places in your life. Some of you may still have young children. Some of you may have decided to go back to school. Some of you, are in careers and maybe transitioning. So all of you are from different walks of life. What I so love about Mary Kay, when people ask me, how are you able to do Mary Kay, and you're a pastor's wife, and you're doing this, and you're doing that, I always say it's because of the flexibility. You see, when I worked at Ford Motor Company, I knew what my life was going to be. I knew exactly Monday through Friday what time my alarm was going to go off. I knew how long it was going to take me to get dressed. I knew how much time I had for lunch, and I knew how many vacation days I was going to get. And you know what, you guys? They only gave me 5. I would have had to work for at least, I believe, 10 to 15 years before I could get 2 weeks worth of vacation. I need y'all to take a good look at me. Do I look like I can survive off of 2 weeks worth of vacation? Are you kidding me? I remember, working at Ford, and the guy that was across from me in his cubicle, he was an older gentleman. And I remember looking at him thinking, that's going to be me one day. Oh my God. And so when I think about the flexibility, the ability to work your life, the ability to work Mary Kay around your life. When my children were young, because they were so young, I was able to do all of my classes right at my house. I would have a babysitter come in. My children never had to leave my house. She knew to keep them in the lower level or keep them in their room. I would tell my guests, you know what, come to my house. Show up as you are, and you'll leave looking like a star. And every time they would show up. So you need to write that one down. Okay? But the flexibility was absolutely amazing. You guys, when I joined Mary Kay, I didn't come into Mary Kay with no huge goals. I came in saying, if I could just make a little extra money, $200 a week. $200 a week. That was not going to replace my salary that I was making, but the fact that I would be able to be at home with my children and have a little bit of money. Oh, I have a wonderful husband. A wonderful husband. Could he have taken care of me without me working? Absolutely. But let me just talk to the women. I see we have a couple of gentlemen in the room, and that's all right. We're so glad that you're here. But let me talk to the women. I always say this. There's not a scripture in the Bible, but God bless the woman that what? Has her own. And I promise you, I needed to have my own. And Mary Kay has afforded me to have my own. My husband absolutely loves Mary Kay. I mean, look, I always jokingly say, if I quit Mary Kay Nancy, my husband might quit me. That's how much he loves Mary Kay. Our very first trip was to Paris, France, and this was in 1996. And never forget, we were in Paris, and when you travel Mary Kay style, I'm telling you, it is truly the lifestyle of the rich and the famous. And I don't even have the time to tell you all of the experience and all the places that we've been, and all of the places that they get us in. We just came from Beijing, China, and if you've never climbed, how many of you have climbed the Great Wall? Okay, we have two people that climbed the Great Wall. Now, when you went and climbed the Great Wall, did whatever company or however you went, did they shut the entire venue down just for you and the people you were traveling with? We have one person. They didn't. Nobody was there but Mary Kay. They shut the entire venue down just for Mary Kay people. So my husband we're in Paris, and we're on this tour bus, and they're taking us and touring us, and I look at him, and he's like pinching himself, right? I'm like, what are you doing? He said, I'm pinching myself. I said, and why are you doing that? He said, because I can't believe I'm in Paris, France, and it ain't costing me a dime. I must be dreaming. I must be dreaming. And so my husband absolutely loves Mary Kay. He loves Mary Kay. The other thing that I'm so grateful for, I shared with you guys that when I started Mary Kay, my daughter was 2.5 years old. And as I started to build my career in Mary Kay, and would travel to get training and to get everything that I need in order to be successful, there were times when I wasn't at home and I wondered, oh my God, I wonder if I should leave. And you know how we are when you have children, you want to be with them all the time. And my daughter graduated from high school and went away to the University of Michigan. And she graduated there and started working. And then she said to me, she said, you know what, Mom, I think I'm going to try Mary Kay. Because there was absolutely no pressure on her to follow in my footsteps. But she said, I think I want to give it a try. And when I tell you, my daughter, who is 23 years old, not only gave Mary Kay a try, but she is now a sales director with Mary Kay. Not only is she a sales director with Mary Kay, she has already earned her first car with Mary Kay. Not only has she earned her first car with Mary Kay, she has a DIQ and about to become a senior sales director with Mary Kay. She is doing a phenomenal job with Mary Kay. Because what I have learned is not what is taught, is what's caught. And she was able, and she said, Mom, I was brought up in a Mary Kay pink bubble. She said, I've only known a pink Cadillac. That's all I've known is a pink Cadillac. Every school function, every trip, you were always able to go with me because you had the flexibility in your schedule. She said, I know what your commission checks look like. And she said, I know I'm not going to make that coming straight out of college. And so I'm just so extremely proud of her because she has made a decision to follow in her mother's footsteps and to become not just a sales director, but her goal is to become a national sales director with Mary Kay. So now it's time for the Mary Kay altar call. I need all of the guests to just exhale right now. Okay? And I don't want you to feel like, oh, I'm going to be pressured, because you know what? In the Mary Kay world, it is such an awesome world that we live in. In March 21st, I will celebrate my 50th birthday. I know you don't believe it. I know you don't believe it. I know you don't believe it. Or clap like you don't believe it. challenge. It has not been a life that has not had obstacle, tears, and pain. Nobody that lives can say that they've not had obstacles, challenges, tears, and pain. That's all a part of this thing called life. But it's been a wonderful life because, in spite of all of that, my good days still outweigh my bad days. That's right. I have a wonderful life. When I think about my family and I think about my Mary Kay that God has blessed me with, I have a wonderful life. And I say that to say to the guests, when you have something that's wonderful, you don't have to beg people to participate in something that is wonderful. You know what my job is as a national sales director? It is a leadership position. What Mary Kay has asked me to do is to build leaders. Mary Kay has asked me to build leaders and to share this opportunity wherever I go. And that's what I do. I share the opportunity. And let me tell you how I do it. When I meet people, I share this wonderful opportunity. And if I share it with Angie and Angie says no, you know what I simply say? I say next. And then I come and I share it with this beautiful lady. And if she says no, I say next. And then I continue on. And what's your name? Kimberly. I meet Kimberly. And you know what? Kimberly says, sure, I'd love to have a facial, or sure,